This is a story from the late 80s, and it comes from Canada, and a distinctly Canadian wrestling personality was Billy Red Lyons. And when I was young with my younger brothers, we got to go out to Burger King one night, our parents. And while we were in there, me and my brothers, who were big fans of Maple Leaf Wrestling and WWF at the time, noticed sitting by himself having a Whopper was the announcer legend himself, Billy Red Lyons, sitting there quietly eating. And it turns out there was a show in a town not too far from where we were that we didn't know about, and we couldn't afford to go to anyway. So my dad was, me and my brothers were just like wanted to go and swarm the man right there. But my dad was a smart mark from back in the day. And he, said, no, let him finish his meal. He's just here to eat. Let him do that, and then you can go over. So me and my brothers, quiet, eating slowly, trying to make sure that we don't have to leave before he does, and waiting quietly and taking peeks over at him because, he was on TV. And then, he finished up. My dad said, okay, you guys boys can go over and ask for his autograph on this. And we went and we got an autograph from Billy Red Lyons in a Burger King on a paper placemat from the late 80s. And I guess if you take away anything from this story was that wrestling can really be a part of a family. You can learn important life lessons in it about, what's real and what's not, and how to show respect to people. Also just a remembrance of my dad and how much I guess I've become like him. Anyway, thank you, Cole.
Sorry to laugh, but it got really deep towards the end there. The realization that you're like your father. I think a lot of that happens to a lot of us. Boy, that has happened to me coming into my 40s now. I do a lot of things and I'm like, oh, that's something my father would do. But is that a bad thing that your father asked you not to go over to the man to bother him until he was done eating? I think the most important thing I took away from that, and the life lesson that you should have taken away, as opposed to family lessons from your father, is that you said what a star Billy Red Lyons was, but he's just eating at a shitty Burger King in 1970 something. And if you remember Burger Kings from your youth, they were not the cleanest places. That's something that I remember. So I took away that even though Billy Red Lyons, legendary announcer, television superstar, just wrestled at a giant wrestling show, is just like us, eating at the shitty Burger King down the street. Also, I did find it a little weird that you and your brother obsessed with wrestling. Your dad knew everything about wrestling, and both were not at the show. I remember when I was in my teenage years and my parents had no interest in going to wrestling, and I was like, well, I can't afford to go to a wrestling show. I just called up the local radio station that was promoting it and just bugged them and bugged them and bugged them till eventually I assume they were like, nobody wants these tickets to this show. And I got free tickets, and they were nosebleeds at the United Center the night everyone threw garbage at Dennis Rodman and Hulk Hogan. But we were still there. And then obviously me and my friends snuck our way down to get some better seats. But not everybody's a hacker or a hustler, so I do understand that. I think the thing I liked most about this call was envisioning in my head just the era of that wrestling, because I think a lot of people are going to be calling with stories from the current day independence, maybe the Attitude Era. But in my head, that was smoky arena wrestling, guys making towns, and Billy Lyons getting hungry, finishing a show, and just needing a Whopper to hold him over until he heads on over to Saskatchewan for the next one.